on day 3 of Super Series 5 here at the Coventry Building Society Arena. And the only 2 players left in the arena are Brendan Dolan, a man who's won a title this year, and Ross Smith, a man who's reached a final this year, but is in the hunt
for the ball
to taste glory in PDC darts for the first time in his career. He went down 8-5 to
bullseye.
Michael Smith in Niedenhausen earlier this year. Can he go one better here against Brendan Dolan? But what an opponent for Ross Smith to have to play in the final, because Paul Nicholson, you were beavering through the stats before this match because you knew that you got a pretty good record against Ross Smith, but his record against Brendan Dolan is even worse than it is against you, isn't it?
96. It is. It's not good. And I'm sure Ross Smith is aware that he has never beaten Brendan Dolan in 7 attempts. So, 8th time lucky?
59.
Well, I'm certain that he's aware because we have the benefit of picking up some of the players' exchanges from the microphones before we go on air, and Smith walked into the booth, took one look at Brendan Dolan and said, well, if I'm playing you in the final, I've got no chance. He's expecting to be on the wrong end of 5-9 darters and heading back to his hotel room to watch the football and try and cheer himself up. But there will be a steely
96.
determination about this, because all of those 7 defeats against Brendan Dolan were not in this situation. None of them mattered as much as this.
Absolutely right.
60.
Every match they've had has been in the first half of a tournament. So last 16 twice, last 32 once, 3 times a first round. It doesn't fully reflect what is probably the most tangible thing in this final, as we see the first 180 from Dolan. And that's that Ross Smith is playing better now than he ever has.
That's 180
60.
number 10 from Brendan Dolan. Just to illustrate that point, that is half the amount of maximums that Ross Smith has fired in this afternoon.
Yeah, 2180s is a pretty good barometer of where you
96.
sit. And Chris Dobie was around that mark yesterday. And of course, Tuesday saw a first PDC ranking title for Dobie. Is that going to be the case for Ross?
90.
Who's been spending a lot of time with Steve Beaton this week. They've been seen wandering around the arena, getting fresh air. But Beaton's chances of making the match play are very slim. The chances of this leg going to Dolan
Game shot.
are just right there. Very, very good. And you might not have seen any portions of the semi-final from Dolan, but the amount of times he left a double after 12, it was borderline stupid.
Yeah, he's been in remarkable form, hasn't he, this year, Brendan Dolan? And it's been slowly building, actually, since we saw him at the Alexandra Palace, throwing faster
45.
than we'd ever seen him before. And he's carried on doing that, and he seems to be bearing fruits and getting results.
It's the norm now. It's Brendan Dolan 2.0
180.
as Smith gets his 21st 180.
Well, Brendan Dolan ×2 in terms of speed might have been a better way to describe it.
What was fascinating about the chat I had with Dan in the last match was
97.
10 years ago when I started playing against Brendan, and my record against him is awful. Absolutely awful. I always said, alongside Gary Anderson and some others, that he was the most underrated talent in the PDC, bar
100.
none. He was so difficult to beat because he was slow and he was brilliant. But now he's fast, brilliant, and better. He's at a higher level than he was before, and
100.
that's a frightening, frightening thing.
Yeah, he's a man who's done great things in this game, Brendan Dolan. Of course, perhaps the most famous, that history-making 9-dart finish
140.
at the World Grand Prix back in 2011, that, Paul.
10-year anniversary coming up.
Absolutely, yeah, good point.
Prepare to have some social media content when that happens.
133.
Can Ross Smith become a little more content by cancelling out the break of throw? 16 for the ball.
56.
Oh, this would hurt, wouldn't it?
Professional dart players love this number. 419s in ball. it's just a little bit awkward. It's not impossible because the way his darts sit still allow him to hit it, but not finding it. But leaving a double after 15. He's waiting to see if he gets a chance at the double 14.
Game
But
shot.
doesn't, and full credit goes to Ross Smith, who gets his first leg in the final, and that will settle him down. So now this is the point of the game where they're both in a first to 8 match, where the brilliance can flow.
It's a match between two players that have kind of revived their careers in different ways.
140.
This pair. Ross Smith, a very good young player. Back in 2013, he won 4 Youth Tour titles, won the Order of Merit that year.
96.
And then as he tried to make the elevation from being a prospect to a professional, he was still working at the time, and that wasn't really working for him. And he decided to give up work, didn't he, a couple of years ago? And it really is showing the extra dedication he's been able to put. As for Brendan Dolan, he almost gave up darts a couple of years ago. Now he finds himself back in the top 32 in the world.
Yeah, he got a kick up the backside from the wife. She said, "Come on, Brendan, get cracking." So he did what he was told. But as far as Ross Smith is concerned, he burst onto the scene making the quarterfinals of Lakeside on debut. And we all thought, what a talent this is. But he's proven that just because you bulldoze your way into the limelight, it doesn't just fall your way immediately. You have to learn to be very, very good consistently. And the way he has done that really has won my respect. Because he hasn't just looked at his game,
100.
he's looked at his life and his lifestyle as well. He's the guy during lockdown when we had these bubbles, and he was the one that was running around this arena constantly, making sure he was burning calories and gaining energy levels. And that, for me,
80.
is a 21st century approach to these Players' Championships.
Will the change in approach result in a change in fortunes in matches against Brendan Dolan? And can he finally secure a first title, just as Chris Dobie did
134.
here last night? Well, a firework finish might spark something. He's a great guide if he can find this treble 19. He has the bullseye.
107.
I thought he was going to hit that. I was right on board with what you just said. It was a perfect marker. But he did pull it just about half a centimetre. And Dolan, this is what he does.
51.
And he's starting to miss shots that he didn't miss in the semi-finals. So Smith is getting chances that he didn't expect. He's got to take them.
Game
Oh,
shot.
and he has. Takes the lead at 2-1. Is this going to be his day? 6 more to go.
It has been a very impressive day from Ross Smith. He's notably chalked up wins against world champions in both
97.
Gerwyn Price and Gary Anderson.
Don't underestimate the others he took out as well. Steve Lennon, he's been playing decent darts without getting wins. He's been averaging high as well. Took out the very dangerous Keane Barry. And don't underestimate how difficult that game in the last 16 was against Ron Meulenkamp, who was chasing a spot for
100.
the World Match Play himself. But I think when all is said and done, if Ross Smith wins this title, or even if he doesn't, he might be getting a
180.
handshake or a little pat on the back from Chris Dobie.
Yeah, he stopped his good mate Ryan Joyce progressing to the final, and had it been Joyce v Dolan, Joyce will be looking at a win to bump Dobie out of the match play spots.
100.
All eyes will turn to the World Match Play after tomorrow's action.
Well, I've got to bring this up because I find this
84.
quite incredible. If Brendan Dolan wins this tournament, he will have done the Smith sweep. He will have beaten Ross, Jeff and Michael on the same day.
140.
Quite incredible considering the names and the other people he's beaten. We'll come back to that in a second. Because first and foremost, Brendan Dolan is looking to get
47.
to 2-2.
Going southwest. Excellent dart. Avails him 2 at double 8.
Game shot.
Brilliant stuff from Brendan Dolan. Deadly doubling.
That corner of the board is at his mercy when he's playing well. But look at the lineup of players he's taken out. Justin Pipe. Maybe it wasn't his best game of the day. As Ross Smith gets another maximum, his 3rd of the contest. And if he sticks to 1 maximum per leg that he wins, he might have a very good chance. But after that, it was a very good match against Raymond van Barneveld, then Gabriel Clemens, then the other 2 Smith players, then Vandenberg.
140.
We talked about Chris Dobie's hard route to the final yesterday. This wasn't exactly simple.
Well, yeah, it's a good point you make there, Paul, because the early matches were the closer ones for Brendan Dolan. 2 6-5s in those first 3, but since
58.
then it's been a 6-0, a 6-2 and a 7-2 for Dolan. But a remarkable observation that if he does go on to win this match, 3 of his last 4 opponents will have been nicknamed will have been named Smith.
Do you know what it is? If Brendan Dolan does win this title, I'm going to start calling him the Matrix. Now, look at the gap between the 2 of them, first and foremost here. Smith on 36 after 9.
100.
He could leave Dolan on 303 the way he's playing.
Well, it's 180, 140, 145. This for a 10-darter.
Double 9. Doesn't want to mess around with it.
18.
But has. But just quickly, if he wins this tournament, I'm going to call him the Matrix because he's taken out all of the Mr. Smiths.
Yeah, taking out the Smiths, and heaven knows they're miserable now.
171.
Yeah, he feels a little bit more chipper now. Oh, could Ross Smith lose this leg? Well, it was 171 to leave 132. We've already seen Ross Smith miss the bull on this shot.
What hold does Brendan Dolan have over this man? He's not going to get a dart at the finish.
If it was you, what would you do? Go straight to double 9 again?
I would split, but that's why I'm sat here and he's up there.
Game shot.
See what I mean?
Yeah, I think that was courageous. Look at where that dart landed, just on the inside. Maybe for a millisecond when he threw that, he was just hoping it in. But it is there for a 3-2 advantage.
85.
And I can say from my own experience, when you've got an awful record against somebody like Ross Smith has against Brendan Dolan, you are challenged mentally
58.
in a massive, massive way. I myself had an awful record against Brendan at every point in my career. And it was such relief when I beat him for the first time. But playing against Raymond van Barneveld for me,
100.
I could have had 5 darts and still lost. It's just the way it was. So this right now is the most challenging match that Ross Smith has ever played.
140.
He will be, of course, heading to the World Match Play in Blackpool, Ross Smith. And it's interesting, isn't it, the winners that we've had this week, because whoever wins this match won't be seeded at the match play. So you're going to have at least 3 seeds going into a big major TV tournament, having just won a match the week before.
It's one of the most open match plays ever. For that reason, I would not be shocked to see another non-seeded player win tomorrow.
83.
It will be a debut at the World Match Play for Ross Smith as well, so a real sign of where his form has been for the last year or so. And he's done damage on the TV before. Who can forget that European Championship when he beat
45.
Michael van Gerwen?
Yeah, he's going to have to get used to a different format as well. And I think the way that the Players' Championship finals and the UK Open has developed over the last few years has readied
85.
these players for slightly longer games like best of 19 or indeed best of 31.
Well, have a chance here to put a little bit of daylight between himself and Dolan, but he'll need a special checkout. It is one that gives you a bit of a double chance.
99.
135. Start on the bullseye. If you hit the 25, it's treble 20 bull.
Well, the bull's covered. Pick an angle. This one is being thrown from the other side of Warwickshire.
Game shot.
Oh, what a shot from Ross Smith. Clean as a whistle. You'll not find a better checkout all day long than that. That deserves every little iota of celebrating. That was mesmeric.
Absolutely remarkable stuff. It had shades of that famous bullseye we were talking
40.
about just a couple of days ago that happened at the World Match Play. Phil Taylor to win the match against James Wade, to win the match play against James Wade, had a similar shot at the bullseye.
That little documentary that the PDC did
45.
about Phil Taylor, he said that the shot didn't look as hard as it actually was. Sorry, it looked harder than it actually was. But maybe Phil was right, because that, to me,
125.
was a ridiculous dart, to coin Dan Dawson's phrase. But that had to be thrown hard, accurate, and from an acute angle.
Completely unnatural, isn't it? Because he's put another couple of feet on where he's throwing from.
81.
Yeah, I reckon it's added at least 6 to 9 inches.
Yeah, to get the line and length right. It's a very special dart to have thrown, and actually, it could
59.
prove to be the turning point for Ross Smith in this match. Because a dart like that going in against a man that you've never beaten before might just make you think, it could be my day.
We've talked all week long
98.
about what a victory could do for somebody. We know what it would do for Dolan. It would embellish his reputation. But Ross Smith is the better player in this game right now. What would a win do for him?
45.
We've already talked about what it could possibly do for Dolby and for Bunting in very different ways. But for Smith, he's only been in one final. This could open up
45.
a next level performer in Smudger.
Yeah, well, in a literal sense, of course, it will increase a player's bank balance by £10,000.
100.
He's already moved up 3 places in the world rankings today by getting to this final. Just outside the top 40 now, chasing down Keegan Brown.
It's only a matter of time before he makes the 32 because
65.
he doesn't have any match play money to defend. He doesn't have any Grand Prix money to defend. Playing the way he is, I wouldn't be surprised to see him at the Grand Slam. Oh boy, you can't do it again, can he? Take it over, Chris.
It's not as big an adjustment. It should have been easier. You can't manage it this time.
He didn't go far enough to the east, you see.
Yeah. He needed to practice a bit more social distancing there and get 2 metres away.
59.
He could put a distance between himself and Dolan in this final. If he can land double 16, it will be a margin of 3 legs.
26.
It's not clean and crisp, though. He did miss the bull, and he's missed double 16 twice. And this has been a bit of an edgy leg. Look at how many darts they've thrown. Smith has thrown in 7 visits. This is for a 7-visit break.
90.
Caught the other dart. It is a let-off that for Ross Smith. Double 2. Tension. Tungsten
14.
tension in the decider. Ross Smith, having produced that wonder dart to get himself 4-2 ahead, he's just handing back the initiative in this match to Brendan Dolan.
He's gone for a little wander. And Dolan goes back to double 8. He needs a mate. Double 4.
Game.
Oh, right in the corner. And I think Brendan Dolan is a little bit embarrassed that that one went in because that was not the portion of double 4 he was aiming for, but he doesn't care anymore about that.
Yeah, everything has conspired against Ross Smith at the back end of that leg, and in the space of 2 minutes he's gone from thinking that this is his day to wondering whether he can actually beat this opponent.
58.
Look at the score line here and cheer yourself up. And take on the chin that you were the master of your own demise in leg 7.
134.
And now you are the master of your destiny going forward. If you'd have offered 4-3 to Smith at the start of the game, you would have had your hand off. So don't think about what's just happened. Think about how you started this leg, which was very well.
97.
Well, speaking about going forward, how it affects Brendan Dolan. success in this tournament is that he could move up to 30th in the order of merit of victory here. He's already
140.
bumped himself up a place above Jermaine Waterman, who's on a bit of a slide at the moment. Worrying times for him, the machine gun.
Yeah, Dolan is someone in this form who could potentially worry the back end of European Tour events. Now, he's never won one, so that is a bit of a gap in his CV.
93.
As well as never winning a major, he hasn't won on a European Tour stage. He's been very, very close, but I wouldn't put it past Brendan Dolan to win in Hungary or Gibraltar.
140.
He's put the pressure on with a brace of ton 40s at the back end of this leg. And Dolan is ready to level up.
43.
Things have just got a little bit ragged, and Dolan has collected himself quite well. That leaves 48. Double 16 for a level game.
50.
This is a superb chance for Ross Smith to get back to that two-leg cushion.
Which way does he go?
Looks like 25. There's plenty of practice in this area. It's the bullseye again.
Game shot.
Oh, he's got it as well. Beautifully done from Smudger. I was just about to call him the curse, because that's what we used to call him. But he's going for it. And fair play to him, because that is a resuscitator.
Well, he's not taking out shots that he should, and he's taking out finishes that he shouldn't. Ross Smith.
86.
Interesting formula, but it might be a successful one.
He's going to have grey hairs after this, no matter what happens. He's going to have to be patient.
135.
I'm not talking about the pace of the game. I'm talking about just giving himself the chance and remembering to breathe and remembering
100.
that he's playing well and scrapping well now.
In the meat of the match, Ross Smith has a two-leg lead, 3 away from winning his first PDC
58.
title.
He's pacing behind Brendan Dolan right now. He doesn't know what to do.
Brendan Dolan having a little jig in the background, trying to G himself up. Some Irish dancing there from the history
100.
maker.
This is an art form. I have to say this because I've played in these settings. If you want to gesticulate and try and vent something, you do so silently. Dart players have become brilliant mime artists.
60.
Now, Brendan was doing all sorts of things behind Ross Smith just now, and Ross had no clue what to do. He looked like that little gif that was made of George Noble when he was lost
30.
on the stage. But he's not lost in this match.
Interesting moment coming up here. Smith for another little wander, runs out of floor.
100.
That treble just gives Dolan an outside chance in this leg. But if Smith can hold his throw, he moves 3 ahead and 2 away. And that might be too big a bridge for Brendan.
140.
Ross Smith is performing better in this final than he did against Michael Smith in Niederhausen. That has to be said. In my first final,
100.
I got a good start against Robert Thornton and I felt a bit lost after that. But when I played him a year later in the Australian Open final, I felt a lot better, more used to it. And Ross Smith should be 6-3 up. And
Game
is. 2 away, and now Dolan needs to find 5.
The reminder of what we said at the start of this match, that this pair have met 7 times before. Brendan Dolan has won each and every one of those meetings in a run spanning almost a decade.
If Ross Smith wins this final, do you think Dan's going to bring that up?
95.
We'll see. I'm certain that Ross Smith is aware of it anyway, so even if Dan didn't bring it up, I think Ross Smith might well bring it up himself. Most recent meeting was at Milton Keynes just weeks ago. A 6-4 win for Dolan in the 3rd round.
140.
Seems to have been settled down a little bit after taking that 9th leg. Doesn't look as lost at the back. He looks like he's in control a bit more.
Big visit from Brendan, that, just to get to a finish first. 1 treble would leave Smith in a similar range.
96.
That's a great last start treble. We have seen a 170 today from Brendan Dolan. Best finish of the day for Ross Smith was a 142.
Yeah, that was in the semi-final against Ryan Joyce. Can he add his name to the roll of honour and net the big fish?
145.
Well, he's having a love-hate relationship with the bullseye in this match, isn't he, Ross Smith? On that occasion, it's hate, but it would be love for him if Brendan hits it here. He doesn't. He finds a 25.
Game shot.
And he lands a double 18. I also want to say, Paul, that I used the term the big fish there. It was Rod Studd that coined that term, and it's one of the terms that has stuck. And it was fantastic to have Rod with us earlier today, and would be great to see him back at the match. But I don't mind admitting it was a bit of a bucket list moment for me to commentate with Rod Studd.
Yeah, me too. I got the chance to commentate on Adrian Lewis a little bit earlier with Rod.
59.
Great to see him, great to hear him, and most importantly, good to see him out and about and really enjoying his time here as well.
Yeah, darts a better place with Rod Studd behind the mic.
60.
But for the rest of this match, you will have to just put up with me and Paul.
Those averages prove that you have to play, and Dan and I talked about this in the semi-final. You may have to play your best stuff up to the final.
59.
But in a final, it's sometimes the survival of the fittest. It's about getting enough chances and throwing the averages out the window and just getting the result.
140.
Ross Smith doing his level best to work towards that result. He doesn't care how he wins. He doesn't care when he wins. He just cares that he does win.
100.
You know what they say about averages? They don't put them on trophies. Well, you don't even get a trophy here. So there's no chance of an average being put on something. But it's the fact that you can say to people,
100.
and we can talk about you as a PDC ranking winner.
Well, you've won these events before. I mean, what does it mean to come to one of these tournaments where all of the best players in the world are here and leave that day being the best in the room?
It's pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. My first British-based Pro Tour win in Crawley, I beat Anderson and Adrian Lewis
65.
to win the title. It doesn't get much better than that. But right now, if you're taking out the people that Ross Smith has today and you put Brendan at the end of that list, I mean, you mentioned Gerwin Price, Gary Anderson, and the dangerous players like Joyce and Barry and Lennon.
93.
Well, Ross Smith, who adores double 18, is now looking for 7-4. Had some bother on double 9 earlier,
Game shot.
but doesn't this time, and he's now within 1 with a buffer.
He's never been in this position before.
99.
So he doesn't know how he's feeling right now. This will be a new sensation. And I will always remember when Joe Cullen said to me when he was in his first
57.
winning position in a final, he learned more about himself in the last leg shootout against Darryl Gurney in his first win than at any point in his career. So right now, Ross Smith is learning a lot about himself and how he's feeling
140.
under this pressure because, like you say, he's never been here.
Never been within 1 leg of winning a professional tournament, a
140.
PDC tournament.
Do you know what you're thinking right now? Give me 1 chance. All I want is 1 shot. And give me it in this leg.
Well, I've been stung by saying this before, but you would expect
98.
in this position that 1 chance will come at some point.
There's no guarantee of it, though. You have to cultivate it. You have to create that chance. Yesterday, Chris Dobie had 3 darts at double
58.
top. And when I said he woke up in the morning craving that opportunity, right now, that's what Smith wants. He wants 3 clean darts at tops or double 18, something like that. But he's got to give himself that chance.
Dolan refusing to give him a chance in this leg. Down to 64 after a dozen darts. All Smith can do at the moment is hit and hope. And it's hit.
Sparkling from Ross Smith to pressurise that 64. You can see it's his fourth 180. Will it be key? Double 16.
32.
And here is where he could get one dart. Indeed two for the tournament.
Chris Dobie won his first PDC title yesterday.
Game shot.
And today, Ross Smith seals his first title, and you can see exactly what it means to him. He beat the world #1 and world champion Gerwyn Price en route. He's beaten Gary Anderson as well, and in the final, he's beaten a man who had beaten him every single time they'd met. He didn't have a worse record against any player other than Brendan Dolan before this match, and he's seen him off in the final to win his first title, and it is elation for Ross Smith at the end of the day. We can see what it means to him. Let's hear what it meant to him.